So you know how I'm super picky with watching TV shows.
Yeah.
I finally got around to Marvelous Miss Maisel. The final episode aired. Finally got everything. We're like, do we need to watch a recap to remember what happened? Because I think it had been like 2 years since the last season. We're like, nah, we'll just context clues. We'll figure it out. So we watch it, and we're kind of like, okay, starting to piece it together. Kind of makes sense. All right. And then the end of the episode, there's this big speech, and it's this big dramatic thing. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then it comes up with that little box in the corner of like where it should say episode 2, but instead it said Longmire. And I'm like, what the fuck? Account sharing got me to watch the last episode first because that was the next one up in the queue, and I'm like, oh fuck, well now what?
Damn. So you just watched the finale of the show.
I watched the finale and I was like, okay, so it seemed like a lot happened, but if that was the whole season, no, not a lot happened. Like we went back and watched the first couple episodes, like, yeah, okay, we know where all this is gonna go. Like, it's really hard to have an objective viewpoint, but I don't think I liked it.
Wow. So it sounds like you guys did it the right way.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we kind of saw like, okay, these are the things that are going to happen. I don't need to know all the little pit stops along the way, really, because
that's hilarious.
Pretty non-eventful.
I don't think I've ever done that before. I've had incidents with what you're talking about. I always have to warn my parents because I'll recommend them a show.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but I'm watching it, so it's gonna be it's gonna start on like episode 6 of season 3, so don't do that.
My mom does the thing where she turns off the autoplay feature on hers.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I always fall asleep, and then I'm like 2 seasons ahead, and I don't know what happened or where I left off. I know, but then I gotta go in there and hit my phone every time because I'm casting to it.
Oh, that's how you watch?
Yeah,
through
sometimes.
A Chromecast? Yeah. I used to do that. No, that was a rough period for me. And I still, even once I got a smart TV, I was doing it because there's always like one app.
Right.
That's like, no, it's always HBO too.
HBO or Apple.
Yeah.
You got to plug in the HDMI cord or like run all kinds of crazy.
Yeah. They want you to have their little hub to plug into your TV. But
yeah. Because they sell like an Apple TV box, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I don't think HBO does that, but that app is notoriously dumb.
HBO's is bad.
HBO Max. I feel like they were the ones that when they launched, everyone was like, this is a joke. This is terrible.
I feel like everybody tries to get too cutesy. Like, it's okay to just copy Netflix. They have the best interface. Like,
yeah, I know. They're so shy about it. It takes them a month to switch over to it. Like, because one of them will have the best setup.
Yeah.
And then a month later, like 2 more of them will be like, all right, we're doing that too. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You could have just done it sooner.
I mean, they set the industry standard with the whole thing. The whole reason there's all these people jumping into streaming is because of Netflix. There's no shame in just molding it into your own little subcategory of the same thing.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, you're already in the whole game because of Netflix. So
I was watching Peacock the other day, and it has like ads if you don't get the full premium version. And there's an ad for the new Michael Bay movie, Ambulance.
I just heard some people talking about that. Sounds like it's a decent Michael Bay action movie.
Yeah, they had like the classic movie trailer voiceover guy, like, usually critics hate Michael Bay's movies. But not this one.
Oh, shit.
Like, that's such a bizarre way. Like, did he sign off on this? Whose marketing strategy was this? Did you have any interest in a new Michael Bay movie?
I do, yeah. I mean, yeah, I was just listening to some people talk about it, and they were saying it's like probably his best thing since The Rock.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that movie in a while, but I mean, growing up, I thought that movie was pretty great.
Yeah.
I never saw Pain and Gain. I know a lot of...
I love that one. That one's really good.
Cool.
I actually just rewatched it. As far as Michael Bay movies, I'd say that's top of the hill for me.
So it sounds like you're primed for it.
I find myself weird that like I'm defending Michael Bay or like I'm advocating for a Michael Bay movie as like the underdog who just got crushed by Sonic and Morbius. Like, I don't think it made anything at the box office.
Oh, really?
And I'm still also like...
Who did? Sonic did,
yeah,
right?
Sonic took all the money.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't heard anything good about Morbius.
Yeah. Well, Morbius had a big opening weekend. For whatever reason, people went and saw it. Yeah, I think opening weekend, Ambulance did like 4th place.
Oh, okay.
And like was his lowest opening of his career. Did you see that Kevin Smith's selling his next movie as an NFT?
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't have expected him to be the person.
Yeah. Apparently he made this horror movie that he's going to sell as an NFT that only like 5,500 people get access to it, and it's like has some digital code to it that you can only watch it if you have the passcode or whatever. Plus he's like, this movie's been done for like a year or two apparently, so it's just been sitting there, and I don't know if this is like his way to get cheaper distribution. It's yeah, very strange.
Maybe it's really bad and he doesn't want people to know.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility. If
he made that Tusk movie.
Yeah, Tusk and Yoga Hosers.
My friend explained like all of Tusk to me against my will, but yeah, not a good movie. I feel confident saying that.
He feels very much in the Judd Apatow realm of like, I just want to film stuff with my kids and my cool rich friends. Like Johnny Depp shows up because their daughters are friends, and it's all over the place.
Okay, yeah.
Did you participate in the Nick Cage AMA?
Oh, no. I just found that the next day.
Yeah.
I was really excited about it, though. Did you read any of that?
I did. He seems like a really genuinely humble guy. Like, he takes himself seriously. He does a lot of shit movies to pay for stuff, but I think he's, like, at least very genuine about it. He's not, like, a shiesty.
No. He seems pretty cool.
Are you excited for that new movie he's in, where he plays himself?
I want to be. I've heard such mixed stuff about it at this point. I would say mostly good. I've heard mostly good stuff about it. I liked his comment about it in the AMA where he said he was trying to protect Nick Cage while he was making the movie. I almost want to see it just to watch through the lens of that comment.
Yeah. He's almost like the new Chuck Norris. Like, he's been around. That's been the joke for a while. So, like, I feel like this movie might be coming at the tail end of that. Okay. Where maybe the joke's not as fresh, but I'm optimistic it can still be decent.
I think that's true. Yeah. Hopefully they don't lean, like, too far into Nick Cage meme humor. Yeah. But I'm also excited, maybe equally excited for more Pedro Pascal. I'm a big fan of that guy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Judd Apatow, he got roped into his new movie. That
really?
The Bubble on Netflix.
Yeah.
That was real bad. Yeah, I've seen a couple bad movies. It's weird, like, the calendar fluctuation between movies and music. Like, movies right now, it's real hit or miss. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. But music, I feel like we're getting into some really, really good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
What have you been listening to that you like?
Let's see. Have we talked about the new Deathspell yet?
No, we haven't.
Deathspell Omega. Yeah. That was a good album.
Yeah.
It's a bit different than their usual stuff. Feels almost like an album closer stretched across a whole album.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. There's hints of this style on other tracks on albums that they've put out before. I mean, it feels slower in general compared to what they usually do. There's some fast blast stuff going on, but there's a lot of pretty like basic, just drums driving forward.
Yeah.
And these like big reverby chants and stuff like that. And that's stuff that I feel like Deathspell usually saves for just a couple songs on an album. It's cool to hear a lot more of that stuff.
Yeah.
The guitar work is always like great, and I feel like this is one of my favorite albums by them guitar wise. So yeah, it's nice to hear them doing a lot with that.
The spoken word at the beginning kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but I mean, I really liked the last record they did, The Furnaces. That was really solid, and I feel like that was way more concentrated, where this feels a lot more experimental. Like, it seems like they find a style they really dig, and then like the next album they're trying their best to like branch out from that, which is, I mean, pretty respectable for a band who's been out this long.
Yeah, this is another case of a band where there was like a little bit of concern for me that they were going in this particular direction. But yeah, like you're saying, this just feels like a pause and then a change of direction, and then heading out with a lot more like fresh ideas and stuff, while still sounding like Deathspell Omega.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they always do.
They had some pretty wild, almost like power metal solos in there too. That kind of took me aback. I don't think I've heard that in their stuff before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I feel like the guitar really gets to stretch a bit more on this record. And I don't think that stuff would fit very well with some of their older stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool to hear.
Especially, what was that? The title track. Yeah, the third song in has that really cool switch about halfway through. I think that was when I was finally like, okay, I'm into this. I like this. I was a little iffy at first, but then, I was hooked in.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of those records you got to listen to a couple times, just because instrumentation is just so dense on their stuff. There's so much going on.
It always is. It blows my mind. Yeah, the bass and the guitar in particular are like my favorite bass and guitar in black metal.
Yeah.
Like always just bringing so much to the table. You got to listen to it with headphones because you're always just like, wait, what was that? What was that a little bit? I'm always, as a guitarist, trying to figure out how he plays this stuff. And this is one of the bands that I have the hardest time figuring out.
Yeah.
Like, where on the neck he even is. How many layers are going on at the same time? Are there effects, or is it him just wiggling his fingers around? It's wild. So cool.
Well, in like black metal, it's real easy for a lot of bands to like be lumped together, almost have a similar sound. And I feel like that's their defining characteristic. It's just how fucking off the wall and musically complicated it is. Like that's their sound. You know it as soon as you hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a little proggy, I guess.
Yeah.
Like prog black metal, but
right.
they'd probably like put a hex on me for saying that.
Are you into any of the weird like backstory stuff they have with like being full on black metal Satanists?
I mean, I've like read about them and their philosophy. I always think that's an interesting thing, especially with black metal bands to kind of dig into, which is funny because like I couldn't care less if it's like a Christian hardcore band.
Right.
But if you're into Satan, I want to hear why that is. I feel like it's pretty predictable why you're into Jesus. I mean,
right. We've heard that story.
Yeah. That's easy.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably my favorite metal record I've heard this year so far. There hasn't been a whole lot of heavy stuff.
No.
We're in this pop groove, man.
Yeah. Did you like any of the new pop that's coming out?
Yeah. I like that Oso Oso record.
Okay.
It's kind of indie pop. It sounds like late 90s radio rock, but I dig it.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah.
There are a few tracks on there that are a little too like sugary, kind of goofy, like that the Gatorade song. That one turned me off, but the rest of it I really, really dug.
I thought it was good. There were times where I wanted them to pick a lane a bit more. And mostly I was finding that I wanted them to go in a poppier direction. I wanted a bit more production-wise. I wanted some more instruments and stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I don't know if they were because they still want to have that like indie record feel. Some of the stuff felt kind of loose.
Yeah.
Not that you need to be like perfectly on a grid or whatever, but for what they were trying to do or what could have been like more of like a solid pop thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there were a couple songs where the transitions were a little not as smooth, but
yeah, I
think for the most part, that kind of endeared me more to it because it wasn't as polished. So it made me feel like they could get away with being poppier.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'm probably being picky about it.
No, I like that one. I like Hearts of Gold. Did you get around to that one?
Yeah, that was cool too.
Real punchy. The vocals were kind of wild, man. I didn't expect it to be that just confident and almost carried the music some of the time.
Yeah, I noticed that pretty early on in the record that, yeah, that's a good way to describe it, as confident.
Definitely gave me like Say Anything vibes. I don't know if you ever listen to them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it reminded me of them quite a bit. I really like though, like it starts out pretty simple, like structure wise, but I think was that Tiger's Jaw, like halfway through the record, they do this thing where they kind of stop and kind of fizzle out to this really slow, mellow feel. Mm-hmm. They do that on a couple tracks, and I thought that was really cool and interesting than just doing like the super punchy pop punk lane the whole time.
Yeah.
It was kind of a cool spin on it. I think this is only their second record, so I'm excited to see where they take that. It's a cool formula.
I like that too. There were times where it felt maybe a bit sudden, like the changes.
Yeah.
I could have used a bit more of like just sitting with the hook in like a verse chorus structure for a while, but all in all, I think it's better to like leave people wanting more of your song as opposed to having repeated your verses and choruses too much. So
yeah. Did you ever get into Jack White?
Not too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know who he is.
Right.
Yeah, I was never really into the White Stripes or his solo stuff. What about you? Are you a fan of his?
I was a big fan of the White Stripes. I don't think they put out a bad record up until Meg quit.
That was his sister?
Well, it was his ex-wife that they told everyone was his sister. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I knew there was some weird thing about that.
But I think she like fully has come out and says she has full-blown like performance anxiety and won't ever do it again. So
doof.
Yeah, he's off doing his own thing, and like his solo stuff isn't that interesting to me. He's pretty insane just as an instrumentalist.
Mhm.
Like, it's weird how much his music's changed because the White Stripes, it was very much like a classic garage band, like very lyric heavy and riffs and everything. And this new record, it sounds like he's like a Nashville flavored Prince. Like, he's just throwing out the craziest beats and like Q-tips on a song and like just doing the weirdest shit.
Not a lot of riffs either.
No.
Like, sometimes they'll just fly in.
Yeah.
And like be in your left ear for a sec.
Well, and even not a lot of vocals.
No.
There's a good chunk in the middle where you don't hear from Jack White at all.
Yeah.
Vocally.
Yeah. Got some guest vocals on there.
Yeah. And I can't say...
you mentioned Q-Tip.
Yeah. I can't say I'm even mad about it because like the record he did before this, he like tried to do some weird rap stuff and that was a little too much. This feels like a good crazy. I like this. This was a fun, weird trip to take.
I had fun listening to it. By the end, I might have been like a little worn out by it. The production is pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty raw, but I liked that about it.
Yeah. And it's definitely like an interesting way to see like an indie rock dude from the 2000s age when you look at like Modest Mouse or like a lot of his contemporaries kind of doing the same thing over and over. He still seemed like he's very hungry for that growth in some way. Cool to see him branch out in this unexpected direction.
I want to know like who produced this, if he worked closely with a producer on it, because there's so much stuff going on as far as the mix is like all over the place. Stuff's like panning around like crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Drum samples just in like a far speaker.
I know he plays drums with the Dead Records. I don't know if he played drums on this album, but percussion's wild. A lot of
really
it
sounds sample based too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's putting a lot of this together himself. It sounds like you could without like being like top notch producer or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
He's got another album coming out. He said he recorded 2 during the pandemic. So the next one is supposed to be a little more acoustic, ballad heavy.
Okay.
But I thought this one was a lot of fun. I was excited to see like full out rock star just like having fun. Like it just felt like you were just watching him like jam around in his garage. Like, it didn't feel like it needed to be polished or make any big message. It's just him fucking around and experimenting. Were you ever a big Pup fan?
I have like such a low tolerance for like anything I perceive as like somewhat cutesy lyric wise.
Oh yeah.
So that was a bad introduction to Pup for me. But tell me, why do you love Pup?
I mean, I liked their stuff before. I feel like this record is probably like their least revisitable.
Oh,
where like I've gone back and listened to their old stuff quite a bit. And even like the last record, kind of like you said, they were on this trajectory to get more poppy and more like mainlined, I guess. And I don't think I realized how much I liked the last record until I heard this one. And I listened to this and I'm like, yeah, I wish it was more like the last one. But when Morbid stuff came out, I was like, yeah, this is like too poppy, too much. Like I don't like the direction they're going. And now find myself retroactively appreciating their older stuff more.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've done too often. I think this just feels like they're grasping at places to go. Like they don't exactly know. They want to go full into like synth and electronic stuff, or they try and like do some heavy stuff here and there, but it doesn't really gel with the rest of the song. Yeah. Whereas the last record was pretty just straightforward power pop, and it was really well done. It was just, not what I was used to getting from them. Whereas this one, it feels like, I don't know, they're kind of just stuck in like a stylistic limbo. Like they can't pick the next direction, which the title of the album is The Unraveling of Pup the Band. So I think there's some of that somewhat intentionally, especially in the lyrics.
Self-awareness,
They talk about kind of stalling out creatively and stuff like that, but...
Yeah, I think a lot of people are experimenting with this, like juggling different styles, doing kind of like a patchwork of different stuff.
Yeah.
All in the same song or the same record, and... I'm like still, it's weird because it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
Like I'm still making up my mind about whether I like it or not. It seems so of our time.
Yeah.
That I worry that we're going to look back on it with unkindness.
Right. Yeah. It'll be like, that time the Rolling Stones did a new wave 80s song.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck was that?
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of worried we're in one of those eras.
Did you listen to any of the new hip hop records?
Yeah, I did. One of them was really interesting. Who was that? Here we go. You already know who it is. You could just say it.
I'm going to guess it's Billy Woods. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Jeez.
Have you ever listened to him before?
Is he in a group?
Yeah, he's in Arm & Hammer.
Okay, then I've heard him before.
Yeah.
But I haven't listened to his solo stuff before.
No, the production was wild on this. Like, I was super into his 2019 record, Hiding Places.
Billy Woods?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did that with Kenny Segal, and I feel like I've been wanting like a really good production for him ever since, because he hasn't really had one. And this, I feel like, is the closest to that, where it has that weird, just super ominous, looming, dark sound to it, but it's also like really jazzy and like freeform and just all over the place.
It's really cool. I was a little distracted by it at times. It feels like the lo-fi record crackle is the loudest thing on the record. Like louder than the vocals. And so I kept tuning out of what Billy Woods was saying. But like anytime you're listening to what Billy Woods was saying, it's pretty great.
Hiding Places is still like my favorite, but this is like right there behind it. And I think I got a little bit of that too, where like the first time I listened to it, the lyrics didn't hit me as hard, whereas Hiding Places, like he's got some really fucking great lyrics. But then, listening back through it, there's good stuff in there, but it's kind of camouflaged by everything going on, like the crazy fucking harmonica and big, symphony drums.
Yeah, I can't think of another rap album to compare to this, really.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I think with this record, along with some of the other records that have come out this year, I think he's probably my favorite rapper going right now.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think he took it from Vince Staples, which leads me to that record, which felt like another disappointment for me.
Why is that?
I don't know. It feels like there's not like an urgency. Like, I feel like him and Denzel Curry both, like their main selling points were like how fast and like in your face they were. And it just doesn't sound like either of them have that energy to their music anymore.
I feel like it's like sleepy talk.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of he gets a little whiny at times.
Yeah.
Starts whining about some stuff.
It felt very sleepy. Like, you sound bored.
Yeah.
And I get like, that's kind of like a lane that Earl Sweatshirt has carved out and a lot of rappers are starting to go to because it's getting a lot of praise as being different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't excite me. It's not fun to listen to for me.
Yeah, I thought he should have stretched out and tried some more stuff. Because I liked the production. I liked the beats. It has kind of like some neo-soul vibes, but it's like more synthy.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But I wanted to hear more from Vince Staples.
Yeah. And I feel like he's one of those dudes who like took a big swing with Big Fish Theory, second record.
Okay.
And that one was wild. The production on that was fucking great. And I feel like it didn't catch on, and he's kind of like retreated back to like a lot simpler stuff ever since. And I wish he would embrace the fucking weird, because it was a lot better.
Okay, yeah.
He came out of the box so strong with his first two records. I don't know. It feels like he's tailed off quite a bit. And I don't know if there's like a boredom with it almost. It seems like it's less enthusiastic, less inspired.
Yeah, maybe he's having trouble getting inspired like he used to.
Right.
It's a lot of work that he's put out already. I don't know how old he is.
He's pretty young. I think he's 29.
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
So
he needs to make more stuff.
Right? He's fucking slacking.
He can't get bored now.
Do you have like a go-to rappers list as far as current guys out there?
Well, I'd really like to hear a new Kendrick Lamar record. I know that's pretty basic, but I just think he's so good.
I think everybody's anticipating he's got one in the works. It seems like he's sitting on one. There's a few that Pusha T's got one. Freddie Gibbs has got another one, but
Big fan of Freddie Gibbs too.
Nobody announces release dates in advance. They just drop them now.
Kendrick Lamar, Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
Probably Schoolboy Q.
Yeah. I haven't listened to a whole lot of him.
He's pretty great. Who would you said Billy Woods would be number one for you.
Yeah, I'd say Billy Woods. I mean, I'd still have Vince Staples up there just because I like his stuff. Sure. Kendrick, Freddie Gibbs. I think Tyler's been really consistent.
He's someone I really need to check out.
I mean, his early stuff was a lot of shock value, but it's become way more polished over the years. And like, it's another thing where like, those dudes all grew up like in the spotlight, figuring out what they're doing in front of us. So
yeah,
it's hard to be perfect as a 17-year-old.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, Run the Jewels LP had a great feature on that Billy Woods album. Made me think of them. Their stuff's always great.
Hell yeah. That's a good point. I forgot about Run the Jewels.
Yeah, I guess, was there anything else you checked out you want to talk about?
Is there anything else?
I mean, there are a couple I listened to, but I just didn't like, so I don't know if they're worth bringing up.
Like what?
Father John Misty was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, what didn't you like about that?
It felt like he was just kind of like apologizing the whole record. Like, it was like...
Oh, really? For what?
Like, I want to do these big, outlandish theatrical things, but I'm just going to do love songs because that's what you guys want to hear.
What theatrical things is he referring to?
I'm assuming that, what was it, Pure Comedy? That record that leaked super early and everybody hated because it had like weird name drops of like Taylor Swift and stuff, but I really fucking liked it. I thought it was a great album.
He was apologizing because people didn't like that record?
I think so. I think he's like done the whole, he's gone back to his roots and doing the whole like just I'm going to write super big indie ballad love songs. And he kind of even alludes to it with like the lyrics on the last track.
Really?
Which, yeah, it's kind of funny that was like the most insightful song where he's not just singing like a love song, where he's talking about being trapped of like just having to play what people want to hear.
Dang, that's so weird. Yeah, he should have written a whole album about how he hated that people didn't like his last album, not apologizing for it. I was never like a big fan of his stuff.
Yeah.
Just because I think I'm like allergic to folk music or anything folksy.
Yeah.
I realized that's like a kryptonite for me.
Yeah.
Where I need to stay away from it for some reason. Even I love like prog bands.
Yeah.
Folk music is like a crucial element of a lot of prog bands, and I just get to these points in songs where I'm like, I gotta skip this one because the flute just won't take a break.
I think I was late to Father John Misty because everybody got super into like the folksy, singy I Love You Honey Bear album, and my entry point was Pure Comedy, which sounds like a crazy Elton John millennial existential crisis, and I'm just like, this is exactly what I want. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It doesn't, that record's not folksy at all. It just sounds like a big theatrical piano ballad songster singing about like the internet.
Yeah, I kind of want to check that one out.
But yeah, that one got shit all over, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Doof.
That was another record. I don't think we ever talked about it, but I really dug the direction that Black Country New Road went as they kind of like veered away from doing super instrumental like prog rock, and they got a much more concise, almost like chamber pop sound. But I think the lyrics were still too weird for you because I think you listened to a song or two and you're like, they just name drop Billie Eilish. What is this?
It was that, and there was some more, what I would call like, maybe I'm being reductive by using the word cutesy. But yeah, I don't know. That's a hurdle for me that I'm not quite over yet.
Yeah.
But instrument-wise, like, that was a while ago that we listened to that. I don't know how that didn't come up, but...
February? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Yeah, there are a couple tracks on there that are so good. That place where he inserted the blade, that gets stuck in my head all the fucking time. But yeah, the thing that turned me off from their first record was how fucking weird and cutesy the lyrics were. So this felt like a reserved version of that, and you're still like, this is not... They still need to dial it back.
A little bit more. Just a little bit more.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad we brought them up, though.
The place where he inserted the blade and Concord, I think, are two of my favorite songs of the year. And then Drug Church. I don't think we've talked about them yet.
I think they came up last week.
Oh, yeah,
but we segued into, like, talking about Butch Vig off of that.
It always circles back to Green Day when Ben's here. That's the thing. It's Green Day and Harry Potter every time. Those are the giant potholes we get stuck in.
What did you think of that Drug Church album?
I really liked it. Like,
me too.
They've always been a band kind of like on my peripheral, and like I'll listen to it and it never really quite clicks with me. And this one, I feel like really consolidates everything they're doing in a really fine-tuned and like well-polished manner. And I really, really enjoyed it, even though I know it's like a lot poppier than the stuff they typically put out.
It's got this sense of doom to it. Yeah. So it's okay. Like,
and the lyrics are great. Like that Detective Lieutenant song was great. It's got such good vocal hooks. Like the way he intertwines the vocals with the instruments, you wouldn't think this band started out as a hardcore band where it's typically just a fucking air horn over the top of guitars. Like it's really, really well intertwined with the music, I would say.
Yeah, I think there's still hints of that. I didn't know that they were a hardcore band, but you get hints of that in the vocals, I think, but in such a good way. Like how it just kind of heightens it at certain points. But like you're saying, he still knows how to interact with the harmonies and stuff.
So I finally watched Severance.
Yeah, dude. I'm so glad you did.
What did you think of the finale? Give me your thoughts. Ben's not here. We can spoil it. Severance spoilers. Clear out.
Spoilers. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It was good too because the penultimate episode Like, I was really enjoying most of it. And then by the end, it felt kind of like, oh, that was just kind of the finale part one. Like, that was just build.
Right.
Because I think that in the last moments of the penultimate is when Dylan flips the switch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so the innies are active now in the real world. But then the finale, there's just some really great moments. I like that the show is willing to not like pull the rug out from under you all the time, and you actually get these like nice moments with Innie Mark, him getting to interact with Rickon and tell him how much he loved his book. Like I thought that Rickon was going to be the guy that he told everything to.
Oh, yeah.
And I was kind of up for that as well. But I like that it went the way that it did. I like that they balanced it and we got to see like Irving. I thought that like we wouldn't see enough of Irving or Dylan even like still holding down the fort and like having his confrontation with Milchick.
Right. Oh, yeah.
What did you think of the heli twist?
I thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool because it's kind of just like a given that this person's personality is just so built on being objected to the very notion that she's there.
Yeah.
And to have her as like literally the face of the concept of severing was pretty great.
Yeah.
I think that might have been my favorite takeaway from the final episode.
Yeah, it was so good. Did you see that coming at all?
I didn't. I wasn't exactly sure what to think. Like,
see, I think that's the benefit of the binge model.
Yeah.
Because me, like my model is I watch one episode a week because I want to get on Reddit and see what people are talking about.
Right.
And so I knew that Helly was an Egan after like the first episode. Because people on Reddit are ridiculously smart and someone is always just like, I think Helly's an Egan. Dude, I swear, like that shit always happens.
That
and by
sucks.
like mid-season, the whole thread is just talking about it. Like, well, we all know that Helly is an Egan, so this is gonna like someone was literally just calling, like there was a comment in a thread before the finale where someone just called like 4 or 5 things that were gonna happen. And they were right. They were right about all that stuff. No, it doesn't bother me, honestly. Yeah, that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
It's all about execution for me. Like there's certain stuff where like I know I might be spoiled going in because I've been trolling threads and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all about the execution. If it's done well, which it totally was, like it still works on me. It still feels like totally satisfying, just in a different way. But that was really well done. It's such a good show. I hope more people start watching it.
It seems to be getting a little bit of pickup. My theory going into it for a while was I started to think everybody was going to be a version of like Adam Scott's consciousness. Like,
oh, really?
Like I swore there was one scene where he's like sitting in his apartment alone, like watching TV. And I was like, the voice talking on this newscast kind of sounds a lot like Adam Scott. And they did that weird thing where they like obstructed his vision. Like all you could see was like Adam Scott's head. And then they eventually pulled to the side and it wasn't him. I was like, okay, so that's just a weird coincidence. And then Rickett, I've never seen him in anything. I honestly thought that was a dude in a fat suit. I thought that was prosthetics.
Maybe it's because his hair and beard look kind of funny.
Something about him just looked off. I was like, something's going on here. But he also wore like giant clothes a lot of the time too, with like the big vests and stuff.
I think he's in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man
as
like the tech.
He's in Patriot.
He's the Vulture's like tech guy. He's in Patriot. Yeah. Oh shit, Ben's gonna be so mad.
But yeah, conceptually I really enjoyed it. I think I get a little more frustrated with shows like this just because I feel like obviously the driving force is the mystery. But like sometimes I find myself wanting a little more closure where like when you're a kid, did you ever play like the balloon game when there's a bunch of balloons on the floor after like a birthday party and like you got to pop it up and not let it touch the ground?
Sure.
I feel like that's what these shows try to do. Like they just keep throwing more balloons up to distract you from how many have hit the ground. And I got that sense a couple times. Like I wanted a little more investigation into like Petey, who is like such a driving force the first few episodes, and then he dies and like his plotline dies with him. And I was like, man, I thought maybe Mark's Audi would like continue down. Like this is the only guy to come back from Severance and he's dead a few days later. That's kind of weird.
It's so weird that you bring that up because I think earlier today I was like, it's been days since I watched the finale.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, Petey. Like Petey just disappeared. I know he like died.
Right.
They had one flashback to him, but yeah, it would have been nice to have more of that. That actor was really compelling.
Yeah. The cast is awesome in this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's the nice thing about Apple is I think they can just be like, well, here's our computer money.
Right.
Adam Scott and John Turturro and fucking Christopher Walken.
Yeah. By the way, Ben Stiller's going to direct half the season.
Yeah. Right. Right. And oh my gosh, like he's doing fantastic. Like we should get back to the cast in a minute, but I feel you on juggling mysteries. And I did feel a point at probably like around episodes like 5 through 7 where I was like, certain people are getting frustrated right now because it's not giving answers.
Right.
I think I was just enjoying like the weird environment that they've created.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In the office. I think it's evident that the creators very much enjoy that too. Like maybe too much and aren't like paying stuff off enough because like it's like, well, let's just give some more scenes showing the culture of this weird workplace.
Oh yeah. And I mean that works great. The atmosphere, like just the whole dehumanized work environment is just so well done. Like that's the most effective selling point of the show.
Well, it creates stuff that I think you could only have in that show, like the MDE, the music dance experience. I don't think there's any other show that could sustain that tone.
No, that was exactly the scene I was thinking of when he said, like, they just like to play in here. I was like, yeah, and they did that, and I loved it. That was great.
That was the one I was talking about recently where I'd never laughed harder at a TV show. Like, I was losing it, dude. I was losing it. And it's still so tense the whole time. Like, it's so tense. But I was like dying laughing. The guy that plays Milchick,
he's great.
The cast is so good, but like my favorite people are like the people I've never seen before. The woman playing Helly is great.
Yeah.
The guy playing Milchick, and then Zach Cherry, who plays Dylan.
Yeah, I've never seen him before either. I thought he was really good.
He's in you haven't started Succession, right?
No, I've seen that, yeah.
Okay. He's in when Roman is doing like the manager training camp. He buddies up with him.
I might have already forgot. This is why I gotta watch it all in a row.
It's a couple seasons ago, and like he's in this weird like manager training for like one of the theme parks, and he's just in these little classrooms, and Zach Cherry is like his project partner.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He was in Shang-Chi for a second.
He was in Homecoming also.
There you go.
Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Street vendor.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Marvel gets everybody. And he was also in Shang-Chi. I wonder if he's the same guy.
I said that, yeah. No, that's so funny. I don't know. He's two different characters.
Only him and Chris Evans can pull that off.
That's so funny. He's great. Yeah. No, I feel like he's someone that we're going to see down the road that's going to be doing like more dramatic work, like maybe leading man stuff. I hope. Like, I think he's a really interesting actor. But yeah, I mean, he brings something great to the show. I like that at its core, too. It's just grounded in this camaraderie between the four workers.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I was going to say.
Like where Dylan
brings that levity to it.
Yeah.
It's not just like a soulless David Lynch short where everybody works in a factory.
No, which is such a good decision. Like, I really like the tone of kindness that you get from these creations of the Severance system.
Yeah.
It's like they're so like close with each other that it's really sweet in a way that helps hopefully propel you through some of the frustration with like not always getting the payoffs when they probably should be happening.
No, I mean, that's kind of just a product of the whole serialized TV thing where they have to leave threads for the next thing to pick up. That's part of it. But I think, the PD thing, and I think I just wanted more backstory on Patricia Arquette too. It's like why she's just everywhere and so like foreboding in every situation. But
I hope we get more about her in season 2 because she's doing such a great job.
Yeah.
And like, I want to know why Harmony is like such a zealous cult person. She's all about Kier.
Yeah, the weird Kier cult.
Not Lumen. She seems to hate Lumen, the company, but she loves Kier, the founder of Lumen, the original. They did a good job of leaving some stuff to chew on at the end. I mean, what did you think of the very end? That's a pretty big cliffhanger.
I think we were obviously heading that direction by getting the clues that like once you saw him like when he tears up the picture of her and you see it on the ground, it's like, oh no, that's definitely her.
Yeah. Do you have a theory about what the company is doing, why Mark's supposedly dead wife is possibly alive?
I mean, my best guess is that like I don't think she's alive. I think like it's something to do with like the clones, maybe with the goats that we saw.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're doing some kind of like memory extraction to keep people getting little like snippets of things to motivate them.
Yeah.
And like whether he realizes that's his wife or not, like he's going to be like have this inherent attraction or like motivation to please this person. Mm-hmm. So that's my guess. I mean,
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a scene where Harmony is watching them together.
Oh, yeah.
And Milchick says, like, it's good that they don't recognize each other or something like that. And you could take that either way. But part of me is like, well, if she was a clone, of course she wouldn't recognize him, right?
Right.
So I kind of was wondering if that indicated that she might be the actual Gemma. But I don't know, man. I think I'm with you. I think that cloning is like probably a front running theory for me at this point.
I also really liked, like, this is a show that doesn't really even need it, but I really like the weird abstract opening credits of like him, like, as a sim, kind of like walking around with the little inflated versions of himself. All that stuff is really cool. And
that stuff's good.
It makes me wonder a little bit if there's some foreshadowing there of like severing different parts of personalities even more than this.
Well, yeah. Who knows is it really just two of them at this point?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to wrap up?
Yeah, we could
recommendations.
Wrap up. I'll recommend, since we've been talking about TV, Tokyo Vice. Have you heard about this?
Is that with? I always get him confused. Is it Ty Sheridan?
Nope.
It's the other one.
It's the other one.
Damn it.
It's Ansel Elgort.
That's him. Okay.
And Ken Watanabe.
Oh, that's right. It's HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's like produced by Michael Mann. Michael Mann is attached to it in some way, if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I watched 3 episodes of it. I'm pretty sucked into it, honestly. It's like loosely based on some journalist that lived in Japan and tried to understand like the criminal underground and Yakuza of Japan.
Yeah.
It's getting good.
Mine's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, yeah.
I got to see it.
Of course.
I'm a big Daniels fan after Swiss Army Man. I know that one got a lot harsher critical treatment, and this one's getting actually like crazy good praise, even to where I saw like one of the directors was on Twitter like, okay, I think our movie's overrated now.
Wow.
But I went in with pretty high expectations, and I still had a really good time with it. And it's just such a wild mix. Like, if you've seen Swiss Army Man, you know these guys do just all kinds of fucking genres.
I haven't seen that movie.
Oh man, you gotta. It's so good. This like plays right into that. It switches genres super seamlessly, where it's like a existential kung fu family dramedy. Like, it's just all over the place.
Cool.
It hits so many different emotional notes because you just don't know what's coming next, and like really heartfelt moments, really funny moments. And this is like coming from the person that turned off Coda halfway through for being too cheesy and heartfelt. But this got me. This is good.
This is the right kind of heartfelt for you.
Yeah, it felt much more genuine, much more earned. The action is super well done, but it's also incredibly funny. And I know it's getting hyped up like crazy right now, but try and tamper your expectations a little bit, and you'll have fun with it. I think.
That's awesome.